Hello, I'm Andy Walker with Digital Farm TV Rural News. The final public consultation meeting of the Murray-Darling Basin Authority Draft Water Management Plan, headed by Chair Craig Knowles and Federal Water Minister Tony Burke, was held in Adelaide last Tuesday night. A roll-up of around 1,000 was involved in passionate debate that had farmers and environmentalists at loggerheads. Those at the meeting spoke earnestly about the need for water security, respect for the river and water users, food security and the right to farm. South Australia is particularly concerned about the downriver implications of the draft plan and may consider a High Court challenge. With the controversial 20-week public consultation process now complete, the Digital Farm this week brings you up to date with these highlights from the Outback Queensland Town Meeting Roadshow.
First of all, there has not been and will not be any compulsory acquisition from the Commonwealth. None. Sometimes people stand up at meetings and say, you're not getting one drop of my water. That's fine. Someone doesn't want to sell any of their water, we don't want to buy it.
What resources and what assistance is the government going to provide to those farmers so that they can actually work more efficiently with water?
We have direct funding of on-farm efficiency projects.
The guide said the Condamine Ballon required 203 gigs to be acquired from it for all the environmental objectives. We've reviewed all that, we've brought that back down to 100. The Minister's team have already applied 5, so there's 95 to go. A whole lot of good community leaders came along and joined in very constructively with good questions, good suggestions of better ways of doing things. The fact that we had the Minister here where they could talk to him direct, I think goes for a good dialogue.
This week, the Minister for Trade and Competitiveness, Craig Emerson, and the Chinese Commerce Minister Chen Deming are meeting to discuss free trade. Dr Emerson has signalled that the most contentious issue in the Australia-China free trade talks, access for Australian farmers to Chinese agricultural markets, would continue to be a priority issue for Australia. Australia is insisting on being allowed the same access to China for its farm products as New Zealand farmers are under the completed China-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. We don't seek elimination of barriers to farm imports overnight, but we will not put it at the end of the queue, Dr Emerson said. Surveillance cameras may soon be deployed to catch bees entering Australia through seaports. Foreign bees may carry with them pests and disease that could devastate the honeybee industry and food production. The aim is to pick up almost immediately any foreign bees that enter the so-called decoy hives, which are set up around ports and coastlines, and to reduce the cost and time involved for inspectors to regularly travel to sites to see if there has been an incursion. Experience overseas shows early detection is vital to dealing with foreign bee pests and diseases because once they get established, they're almost impossible to eradicate. New research brings the promise of a 50% cut in fertiliser bills for wheat farmers. University of Western Australia Horticultural Science Honours student John Barton has been using compost to improve the efficiency of inorganic phosphorus fertilisers. He says that his research supports the idea that accurately placed microdose applications of compost can reduce the required application rate of phosphorus fertiliser by half. Mr Barton proposes that applying low rates of compost to the root zone of cereal crops will increase root growth, lift soil water holding capacity and change the population structure of soil organisms. With Western Australia's typically low phosphorus wheat belt facing the twin challenges of a drying climate and the looming issue of peak phosphorus, this may be a timely and economic solution. Speaking of dry climates, an amazing story of bureaucracy and waste stemming from last year's big drought in Texas has just come to light. During the height of the drought, West Texas farmers kept watering their cotton, despite knowing that the cotton wouldn't grow. They needed to do this to qualify for federal crop insurance. The US Department of Agriculture provides federally subsidised crop insurance through its risk management agency. Producers who insure their crop under the irrigated practice are required to irrigate their crop at the proper times and amounts necessary to produce their production guarantee, the USDA said in an email. One cotton farmer estimates that he spent at least $25,000 to pump water last year to irrigate his fields, even though he eventually accepted that nothing would grow there. "It's a sick feeling," he said. "I hated to go down there and look at it, but I had to do it to qualify for an insurance payout."